Test pilot Tuck Pendleton wants to make history. Supermarket clerk Jack Putter needs a vacation.
Jack, you're late. That's not good. You know it's coupon day.
Lieutenant Pendleton is about to be miniaturized, placed into this needle, and then injected into this rabbit.
Rock and roll.
But something went wrong, and Tuck's about to get a new destination. Inside Jack Putter.
I'm in a man.
Hello, can you hear me?
I'm possessed!
Now, Jack's got twice the problems.
How you doing, Jack?
But he's double the man. With Tuck on his side.
Kicking more cows!
In his gut. And on his case.
You're not gonna back groceries all your life, are you, Jack?
And only 24 hours left for Jack to get out of danger. So that Tuck can get out of Jack. Dennis Quaid, Martin Short. Give yourself a shot of adventure. Inner Space.
Listen! If you want to know what is going on, you have to listen to me.
I'm listening.
You have to.
I'm listening.
Because you don't know the fucking enormity of what we're dealing with. May the 29th, 1954, a consortium of bankers, industrialists, corporate CEOs, and politicians held a series of meetings over 3 days at the Bilderberg Hotel in Oosterbeek, Holland. They drew up a plan for maintaining the status quo. It's the way things are. It's the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Okay. They devised a plan to manipulate technology, economics, the media, population control, world religion to keep things the way they are. And they have continued to meet once a year, every year since the original meeting. Look it up.
Okay.
Under their orders, the CIA had smuggled Nazi scientists into the States to work with the American military at Calspan, developing an epidermal tracking microchip.
What?
It's a surveillance tool. It's a computer chip that has been implanted in the skin of every human being born on the planet since 1982. The test group for the prototype was the People's Temple. And when the Reverend Jim Jones threatened to expose them, he and every member of his church were assassinated.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's not enough just to track people, to spy on them. They want control.
Yeah.
So they create the intelligence, manned, interface, biochip, a subcutaneous transponder, a computer chip imprinted with living brain cells. They needed lab rats to test it, and they found us. Me, in the Gulf, and another soldier working at Calspan at the time, Tim McVeigh.
Oh, wait.
They turned us into fucking zombies! Remote control assassins! And then they picked Tim up, chucked him in the prison factory, but I found my chip and I cut it out.
Oh my God.
So they sent me back to the lab for further testing and a new experiment.
You're John Doe number 2.
No. That's who they want me to be. That is the flaw in the IMI biochip. They can't get to everybody. People slip through the cracks. They find the chip, they cut it out, like me or Ted Kaczynski. They need a chip that will self-perpetuate, that will spread like a virus, that people can pass to each other, to everyone. They got it!
Oh, you mean the bugs?
Okay. Now record? Yeah. All right. Welcome back to the channel. This is BTE TV, and I am Tony Jackson. And once again, I have a very special guest for you today, and his name is Eric. He has a Rumble channel that's called FireMedic8. And Eric, welcome to the channel. I am so honored to have you here. And I know we've spoken a few times in the past. You helped me deal with a very serious situation that I had going on, and I thank you for that. And so welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. And tell people a little bit about yourself, Eric.
Yeah, we did meet a while back. I didn't look back at my emails on how long ago that was. It feels like it's been a long time.
I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
That has been a long time. Well, I guess a little bit about myself. As far as like my so-called professional career, a lot of people like to hear that. So I guess they can get a good bearing about who you are, or your background a little bit, I guess. So my background has been in public safety. I was a firefighter paramedic for almost 20 years. While I wore the firefighter paramedic hat, I worked in several other things. Well, two of the things were attached to the fire department, and that was the most advanced communication team in the whole United States, the most advanced mobile communication asset, and that was like basically a monster RV full of the most technologically advanced telecommunication system. It was an interoperability emergency communication system. And so also another job I had that was attached to the fire department was I was a member of the state SWAT team. And I was one of their tactical medics. In the region, in my little 10-city region, I was an instructor. I instructed advanced cardiac life support. I instructed pediatric advanced life support. I instructed advanced airway, 12-lead EKG interpretation. And this wasn't just to just firefighter paramedics. This was to ER physicians, board certified docs and stuff like that. So that's who I was in that career. Oh, and I also worked about 10 years as a functional paramedic in the local ER. So I have a pretty broad spectrum of experience in that 20 years, almost 20 years. COVID took my job, and that's when I had to, but in a way, it was what you call a blessing in disguise. Because my son got to a point where he was so sick that he literally needs somebody trained to my level every day, almost every day. So it was right on the heels of me actually getting a termination letter from my fire department saying bye-bye at the end of the day. And all the termination was all about was just about talking about informed consent. And of course, I was on a telecommunications team, and I had access to everybody's desktop. And I could see all kinds of emails going back and forth to other city managers in the region, and it will blow your mind. And I'll just leave it at that. And just, this is a 10-city region, and just extrapolate that from coast to coast. Then you'll get a good idea of how big this criminal syndicate is that we're dealing with right to the day. These are physical, flesh and bone people that we're dealing with. So that's why, to go a little biblical real quick, that's why I'll give people a little bit of pushback that they say we don't deal with flesh and bone. So I'm like, we do. Who do you think they work for? Who do you think they're trying to impress? They ain't trying to impress me. They trying to impress something ancient and dark. I'm here to tell you on that. All these men who swear oaths. I digress on that. And so when I was terminated, my wife said, "What do you need to do?" Well, all that experience that I had and the things that I saw in the ER, things I saw out in the field, I was like, I need to just start talking. And then when I just started talking on BitChute, and I was the only place that would allow me to upload, but now I upload to YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Substack, Telegram. And but the only place I could go for a little bit was just BitChute. It was the only one that would actually allow me to upload, and then they would publish it. But ironically, shortly after I started publishing, I only had like 30 subs, 40 subs, 50 subs, and people started reaching out to me. And it was kind of like that for a while. People just constantly reaching out to me, and they said, "I just want to talk to you." So people started talking to me, and I started meeting more people, and then I finally ran into Tony Pantaresco. one of their core group members reached out to me to see if I wanted to meet him. I said, I'm always down to meeting people. I didn't really know who he was. I kind of remember him a little bit. And so I reached out to him, and it was pretty good for a while it lasted. But like all online relationships these days, whenever you have somebody who's already been here for a while, and the so-called new guy, and what you do is you just dismiss their whole life before meeting you, like their whole life didn't matter. Like my life only started when I met some of these, and I'm not just talking about Tony, I'm talking about a lot of people. And so when you meet new researchers or people who's been in the game, so-called in the game a little bit, maybe publishing, posting and all that kind of stuff, when you start having conflicting ideas based on observation, measuring, and repeating, which is science, it goes against their dogma. Any time that you go against anybody's dogma, whether it's research, so-called religion, or anything like that, you're always it's going to blow up. It's just a matter of time. That's what I've noticed my entire career. Is that will happen, and that's what happened with me and Tony and several other people. It's unfortunate. We put out a lot of good content. And I'm not just saying that because I think it is. I have the emails to back it up. They tell me that we appreciate what you're doing so much. And so I learned about his tech, the Tony Pancharesco tech, the spike and the triangle. And I really didn't I knew about the synthetic biology and the things that you see on my channel, that you've been seeing on my channel, as long as you've been following me, I guess. That's always been kind of like my main avenue, my main focus is what I've been talking about is the synthetic biological infestation that I can say with 100% certainty that everybody's dealing with it, but most people aren't expressing illness, or what I would say is expressing a form of rejection. That means like, and typically the best case is the people who are afflicted with what the world knows as Morgellons. Those people are expressing or rejecting something outwardly that hurts. It drives you insane because you can't get comfort. So I didn't know all the different things about how to combat a lot of what we're dealing with. And just meeting Tony actually was kind of like right there at the right time. And I needed to learn what I needed to learn from him. And then the relationship, like Inspector Gadget, this note will self-destruct. That's kind of what our relationship did. And I just kept learning, and I just kept meeting more and more brilliant people. And then talking to people like you, and I don't know if you want to talk about your situation that brought you to me. And I learn even more. I keep learning from people who are dealing with just like normal, so-called normal situations, and then these extreme cases that make no sense whatsoever. You're like, what in the world? Because what you brought to me, you were the first one to bring what you brought to me. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that now?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe just to give people an idea, and I'm going to share my screen and show some of the images that the pest control company sent me back from their laboratory. But I'll just start by saying that I was living in a condo, and at the time, a brand new condo. So there was no other families that lived there. And I took in a rescue cat. He was an outdoor cat. If I didn't take him, they were going to put him in a shelter, and I felt bad. And he was cute. And I couldn't say no. So I took him in, and turns out I brought him to the vet, and it turns out he had fleas. And I saw a flea jump off his back, and the veterinarian jumped, and she went, "Oh no, he has fleas. Get him out of here." So I took him home, and I just thought, okay, I got to deal with this flea issue. And I started doing the natural thing, right? The diatomaceous earth. And Eventually I started using borax, baking soda, and salt. I put that all over my floor was covered. My house looked like a powdered donut factory. Let me tell you, I mean, my floors were white. Every void was filled with something. And eventually I broke down, and because I even did the ozone, I did use an ozone machine to try and that says it destroys the eggs. So 4 or 5 times I ozoned my whole condo. I took my cat and we went out for like 8 hours, came back, opened the windows, aired it out. And I noticed it was getting worse. So I would see all these I'd come back from an ozone treatment. I would see all these black things all over the walls. And when you touch them, it's like charcoal. They like smudge like little black charcoal. And I thought they were flea eggs. But I didn't know much about it, so I finally called the pest control company. I said, I give up. I tried all the natural things, and there's something still, it's afflicting me and my cat. And they said, okay, fine. They came. The guy walked around, and he had a white Tyvek suit and a flashlight, and he's going, you don't have fleas. I can tell you, they would be biting my ankles right now. I'd see them jumping. And I said, well, what is it? What am I finding all over my cat when I take a bath? Right, I take these detox baths and I get out of the bath and there's all these little black things floating in the tub. What is that? So I gave them samples, put them in a Ziploc bag, and they agreed to look at them under the microphone. I just want to show people what they sent back to me. They emailed me back the close-ups, the microscopic images. And now let me start with, so this is an example of what, can you see that, Eric?
I can.
Okay, this is an example of something that was either on me or my cat. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking that's a flea. I'm like, it's some kind of a flea, or because I just didn't know. Okay, these are the images that they sent back. This is one.
That definitely looks like an insect.
That looks like an insect, right? I agree.
But hold on, before you go too far with that, can you hold it back up? And so I will tell you that in some of my microscopy work that I've been doing now for 5 years, high magnification, dark field, bright field microscopy, I've seen stuff that looked like that. And I almost just wrote it off, so that's an insect. So what I have found is that some of these, not all, but there are a high degree of things like this that were never alive. Were never alive. They were never, ever alive. You could take some, like, 2 type of solvents that I use a lot is turpentine, 100%, gum spirits, and or 99% DMSO. These are great solvents to help dissolve things that may not even be real at all, even though it looks real. Mm-hmm. I have had people who like literally have sent me pictures almost identical to that they found in their urine, and they didn't just find one. They're doing a fine mesh kidney stone strainer, and next thing you know, bloop. And this is shortly after using the devices, and they're like, "Wow, Eric." I mean, I've seen stuff in my urine that will blow your mind too. It look like gosh dang seaweed seahorses.
Yep. Oh, it gets better. Now, looking at this, so they said this was not.
Real quick.
Yep.
I've seen things like that turn into a multitude of threads after you drop the solvent on there. You put that solvent on there and let it sit. I didn't record it. I missed so many things because I was like, nothing's going to happen, and I wasn't recording. And I go to the kitchen. I come back, and there ain't nothing but a pile of threads there.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't record it unfold from each other, and so that is important. I was like, man, and you know, I haven't seen anything like that again. You know.
Yeah, interesting.
But the solvent will break these things down, and most of these things are not what we think they are. They're just a bunch of fibers. They're just a bunch of threads that make this. We live in this world of mimicry, where these engineers mimic things. Again, that looks like an insect from the wild, but that may very well be. But it could theoretically be a ball of yarn at the end of the day, and not even be real. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. According to the pest control company, all of these images you're about to see, none of them are real insects. Or they said they couldn't identify them. They didn't know what they said that's not a flea. A bug part, right? So it looks like a leg of a bug or something. Mm-hmm. This is the majority of what came back. You see the little red, I don't know, are those red eyes or something?
I don't know. It could just be like they're probably doing reflective light instead of transmittal light. I'm pretty sure transmittal light means from the microscope, the light's coming from the bottom. So they're doing reflective light. So there could be particles on whatever they're looking at that will possibly
reflect light back.
Yeah, like be a little more brilliant, if you will.
No idea what that is. They said that their official opinion is they're just fibers, and they said it looks like minerals or something. Like
industrial microfibers mixed in.
Yeah.
Go.
That looks like Morgellons, doesn't it? Does that look like Morgellons fibers?
Yeah. I mean, when I worked in the ER for 10 years, I can't even tell you how many people brought boxes in full of stuff like that.
Okay. Now, these aren't mine, so let me go back. These are photos I got offline. Let me see if I can find more of mine. And again, this is an example of kind of what it would look like to me. Okay? So This is what I was seeing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. These are actually images from, I think I have some more. Maybe that was all I ended up. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets a little interesting. Now, when you see this, when it's not under a microscope, it looks like a bug. Like, if you just saw that, like, on your skin. Mm-hmm. Now, Eric, and I think I told, when we talked, way back when on the phone, for example, one day I opened my refrigerator door and one of these things jumped out and landed on my arm in my refrigerator. I was combing my cat and one of them jumped off his head and landed on my hand. And that's when I called the pest control company back and I said, no, you guys are wrong. He still has fleas. I don't believe you. Come back and just do another investigation. So they did. They came back. They took more samples back. This looks like a bug leg, like it's trying to simulate. Now this one, like, what the heck is that? Right? Like, yeah. What could that even be? Like, I have no idea with all those colors. This one, like, looks like it has a little blue. No idea what that is.
Yeah, I have a good friend. He does a lot of microscopy too. His name's Seth, and he lives out in the mountains in Carolina. And very good microscopist. Does some of the best work I've seen. Some of the best work. And he goes, Eric, we're literally being destroyed by what seemingly looks like, and what most people believe, is just dust.
Or lint.
Lint, yeah. Dust and lint, yeah.
Everyone says, is that lint? I'm going, no, these things were moving. They were, and when I say infested, I mean, I was giving my cat baths with Dawn detergent because I wanted to make sure everything was gone. And when I pulled him out of that bathtub, and then I would start wiping him down with a towel, when I looked at what came off on that towel, these like demonic little looking, whatever they are. Now here, it looks like, I don't know what that is, like hair with something. almost like a feeler or
a lot of times what I've seen, if you see what they call like a whole lattice or scaffolding, and so obviously if we look in the construction world, what lattice is, right, or scaffolding. So scaffolding would be like a major structure on the outside of a building, right, to build.
Yeah.
Right? And so there are major structures that we can find in synthetic biology. And some people are able to get some of these major structures or a portion of some of these major structures out and present them. But mostly what we see is fragmented, like lattice board or synthetic lattice or fragmented scaffolding. So we can just see a very small window or portion of it. But like when you see like a cable like that, you see that long cable, then you have all this fleshiness to it. And a lot of times in what it really is, that fleshy part is literally you. It's parts of you that this synthetic biology ends up utilizing, because that's what they are. It's a true parasite that actually doesn't necessarily operate the way we perceive parasites, because it's literally like just trying to overlay a new system, like a new electrical system, to bypass yours, but utilize yours. Utilize your flesh or your voltage to basically create or fabricate this really spooky, unexplainable construction that a lot of, like, I mean, I don't even know how many clients I have at this point anymore, but everybody has it, just about. And people that some of the local people who come and see me, I could find stuff like that in their blood. Not just like, it's coming out of their sweat, it's coming out of their urine, it's coming out of their feces, it's coming out of their mucus. No, like literally you can see insect-like materials in people's blood, and it's insane. But they are not insects.
It's synthetic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
100% laboratory.
Synthetic biomimetic. And that's why your body doesn't reject it, because it doesn't realize that it's foreign.
And just for the people watching, someone might look at that and go, "Oh, that's just lint." You've seen this before, right? That's not lint. Lint doesn't do that, right?
Right. It can wind up like that, but for the most part, and I used to do little easy tests long time ago to kind of prove that, hey, this is not lint. And one of the easiest ones is a flame test, a simple flame test. A lot of the synthetic biology will not burn. It will not burn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I had a scientist. He's one of the most brilliant people. I know a lot of brilliant people. He's one of the most brilliant people I know, and he's out of Colorado, and he torched some of these fibers up to, it was either 3,000 or 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and in a very, very high tech laboratory, if you will. And guess what happened?
They didn't burn.
Barely. It had like maybe just a little bit of scorch on it.
What? But what? I mean, I know they have technology that's super advanced. Now, this one, trust me, when you see that from far away, that looks like an insect. And these things look like they're trying to replicate an insect, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And again, for the people watching, I know some of you are saying like, well, that's just lint. I see that all the time. I've watched these things fly. I've watched them jump, like I said, right out of my refrigerator and land right on my arm. And Eric, I'm sure you're aware of this, but I'm finding these in embedded in a brand new roll of paper towels, Bounty paper towels, for example, that I just opened, and you see a little black dot in it. Same thing that I was finding on my cat. They're putting it in the paper towels and the toilet paper. Right? Have you found that too?
Yes, my friend.
Okay, here, like I know it's creepy to think that this is actually happening, but I went through it. I know, like,
yeah. And
no, but here's the interesting one. Now, the guy from it was actually Colonial Pest Control, who said. I said, what the hell is, I was on the phone with him when I was looking at these. I said, what the heck is this? And he said, it looks like a bug part that's got some lint stuck to it. I'm like, what? You know?
Yeah.
This, he said, it looks like some kind of mineral, but notice the red around it. See the little red hue around the edges here? Mm-hmm. I think that's like my blood or my cat's blood or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm only speculating.
It could very well be.
So check this out. I think there's like, look at that. I mean, this again, I don't know what looks like a wing or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna go look at my BitChute channel real quick.
Oh, did I stop sharing?
No, you did. No.
Okay.
You were good.
Anyway, I just wanted people to see what we're talking about. That's all.
Right, and I got something.
And if you want to share your screen, I'll give you permission. Just
yeah, you can go ahead and give me permission. I'm just trying to find some things that have come off. Well, here's one. I'm gonna download it real quick. Shoot. Hold on.
Okay. You should have.
Yeah, old BitChute won't let me download, but I have to go to new BitChute.
Now, Eric, in your personal opinion, and I know we don't know, because this kind of, I believe it's connected with chemtrails, but like with my situation with my cat, what do you believe how this started? Was it the fleas got like hijacked by these synthetic bugs and they latched onto the fleas, which then latched onto my cat? Or were these something that came separately and it just was a coincidence that he had fleas and at the same time my house got sprayed at the same, like how did these things infest my house, like in your opinion?
Well, when you first came to me, you kind of gave me, your story and everything you're finding, because I think you already had at least the first wave of investigation already completed before we talked. Like, so you had some images from them.
Yeah.
What they claimed to say certain things were or whatever. And then much later, I think you, whenever you got the second wave completed of, when you had them come out, I think you just sent me pictures then. So at first, I was going to say that it could have just been a coincidence. But ironically, I still don't know the answer to it. But ironically, there were several clients, new clients, people who have reached out to me, and none of them knew each other. None of them knew each other at all. Far as I know, I don't think it was a psyop. But it's like, how all these people like boom, 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 like 3 and 4 days apart, all have similar. And it's all was a cat except for maybe one dog, and it was all animals they found, rescues, if you will, that they found on the side of the street. Maybe they were injured in the woods or something like that, and they brought them into their house. And next thing you know, after they brought them in their house, like their life is altered. Big time. Big time. And so I don't really know if, you know, the chicken and egg type thing, right? It's like there's almost no way that the animal isn't the problem. Almost. I mean, could there be almost like 8 coincidences, like with people who don't know each other, who don't talk to each other, who have similar stories? So that was kind of wild. Again, I don't really know the answer, because I guess one thing that is it a project? That's the other things I think about. We don't know if it's a project, and what I mean by is, like, does somebody plant this thing knowing your heart? One, and trust me, our adversary know more about us than we know about our own selves, and so they plant stuff out. Like, and I know it sounds crazy just to even say that somebody planted a cat out there for you to grab. Now, there's one thing about some of these technologies that can really activate things in your environment that may just be dormant. That's things that I've been considering for a while. I think we all have stuff in our environment that is just sitting there at idle with no commands, no instructions, right? But what do a vast majority of animals have today? Well, they have technology, embedded technology. Some animals, and that's why some animals are falling apart anyway, because they have RF frequency devices in them. Yeah, they have frequency devices in them, and they may even be 2.4. They may even be 2.4 now. So you got you got like a low BLE, low voltage system in some of these animals, and I know. For me, that BLE ain't no joke, and that's the terraforming territory. That's one thing to consider, is that they come in there and they activate your home with certain waveforms that could be coming off of that chip or that transmitter that's in there.
So in my case, Max was born, from a litter of kittens, and they said the former owner said they never took him to the vet ever. So he had never been, he never had any shots. He never had any chips, right out of the wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in your case, it could have just been somehow that cat had so much stuff on it that you may not seen, and then over time.
And they multiplied, because there's no way I used to bathe him at least once a week. I feel so bad. I put him through hell. I was putting diatomaceous earth on him, which now I know is not good. And we probably both ruined our lungs for life. I did everything. Oil of oregano with olive oil. I did a lemongrass with neem oil, and some other thing, on the cat, right? And it worked. But then a couple days later, I'd comb him, or he'd be like sleeping on my chest, and I'd like go into the bathroom, and I just kind of like shake my shirt, and all these little black things would fall into the toilet. And I'm going, where are they coming from? I just gave him a bath. Wow. So it was the weirdest thing. It really was like almost like something makes me think there was a supernatural aspect to it. I don't know, or fallen angel technology is involved here, because
there's got to be something high and dark, high places and dark places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the way you're describing it now, that sounds like the cat somehow was just maybe potentially born infested.
Yeah.
Born infested. And his or her skin was constantly rejecting or attempting to reject what was in his or her biology, just constantly pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out. And it kind of sounds like this garbage didn't like that.
Yeah. Now, to bring you up to speed on how we solved this was nothing seemed to work. Nothing, no natural. I think actually the borax, baking soda, salt mixture that I found online, I think that definitely got rid of the fleas because they just cannot exist in that stuff. The fleas, I think, were gone long before these things were gone. But ultimately, I had to move. I had to move out of that house, no matter I vacuumed twice a day. I did laundry. I was up till 3, 4 in the morning doing laundry. I did my laundry every day. And this went on for 9 months. Like you said, it ruined those other clients that you talked about. Ruined. Yeah, my life was ruined. It was a mess. I couldn't sleep. I felt things biting my feet at night, and I always felt like I had things crawling on me, and I did. So yeah, and the point of this video we're doing is to let people know that this stuff is real because it happened to me. And you have a potential solution, at least for the stuff, the tech that's inside of us. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, again, the man who developed I'm assuming the devices you're talking about.
Yeah.
A spike and a triangle, which if you go to my YouTube, I just posted them not too long ago on how to build these things. I do charge if you come to me to buy one, but I have offered it up for a link, a DIY, how to build it yourself, and I don't charge nobody for it. So don't feel obligated to pay me to build it. But those devices that I offer for free for you to build, they do a great deal of many things for our biology and body to be able to identify the non-native, non-self biomimetic infestations that we're dealing with, and to help your body bag it, tag it, and reject it. Unfortunately, what happens, we don't have a way really to make it. It's like this. We all have our individual unseen world in our biology, but it's non-native and not supposed to be there. And the way to make the non-native become visible, seen, is this electromagnetic pulsing. And that pulsing, again, like I said, Tony Pancharesco, he's the one that developed it. I don't have any credits in developing, but I do make them. I'll show you how to build them. But this pulsing allows your body, it flickers because I've talked to biomimetic scientists, and they have. If you ever seen the movie Thinner, like the Stephen King film,
yeah.
So that movie Thinner, I had a few ladies reach out to me who worked on these projects, and they were going through advanced wasting of everything. Like they were just losing weight at a rapid rate. And they didn't, it took them everything they could to keep their head above water for a while. Somebody sent them one of my links, and these are scientists now, and they reached out to me one by one. Mainly they sent the smartest one first, just to make sure that I wasn't full of you-know-what and a grifter or, snake oil salesman. And so I didn't know they were scientists when they first reached out to me. I had no clue. And when I started talking their talk about the biomimetic synthetic infestation, they were like, oh yeah. And then I went on with my spiel on saying why it might work for you. And I said, because I've had a couple clients already before her that was going through what seemed like a similar process, not as advanced or as fast, I had a lady who was losing weight regularly, but my other lady, the researcher, the scientist, she was losing weight really, really fast. And it took her, I don't know, it's been so long ago. I think it was longer before I met you. And she put a pause on it. The first time her weight paused. Weight paused for maybe a week. And the next thing you know, she starts gaining weight shortly after she got the triangle device. And she was like, she called me, from that point forward, I've already talked to all three of them. And then all three of them called me back on the same line, on the same Zoom call at the same time and kind of give me the heads up. Like, you know, it was what they were dealing with. And they were really happy that they all were able to put a pause on basically what it seems like them just withering away into absolute nothing, you know? And so I learned more about what they did, the jobs they worked on and all that kind of stuff. And the hell they went through to, just put it this way, get full benefit and severance and all that stuff because of their job is what did this to them. And somehow they had to try to prove it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, they all got their money. They all got, you know, pay. They got all the lifetime insurance and all that stuff. And so, but they went through hell to get all that. And they slowly over time constantly kept gaining. And I haven't heard back from them in a long time. So, you know, I don't really, people who are dealing with these things, I don't reach back out to them. The reason I don't is just because they're going through enough. And sometimes people don't want to talk about anything anymore. Like, I'm done talking about it. I just want to live my life. I don't even remember these things. So I'm like, obviously my email hasn't changed. And so they're always welcome to reach back out to me and let me know how you're doing.
So, Eric, this is the device I have up on screen. That's yours, right? Is that your...
Yeah.
Your triangle. Okay. Just want people to know, because a lot of people watching this, I have a feeling, have no idea. When we say triangle or, you know, the spike or anything, this is a device that Eric's, and I have one. I think I bought mine from you.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I haven't used it. So I want you to talk a little bit about this device, Eric. Like, what does this do for people? And you mentioned that woman. Now she was losing weight. And by using this device, what did that accomplish? Ridding her body of the nanotech that was like putting a burden on her her inner biology.
Yeah. So, well, I don't like using the so-called term nanotechnology because we're dealing with much more. We're dealing with a great deal of things, and so. But I just put it under one umbrella, and that's synthetic biological or synthetic biomimetic infestations. And again, these devices, both of them to a degree, but on two sides of the coin there, because there's two sides that you need to really address. The triangle addresses the basically the cloaking mechanism, which makes these biomimetics unseen to the to your biology, so your body can't reject it, it can't discard it, or so-called detox it. But that pulsed magnetic field that just basically just kind of shakes it in a sense and allows that flicker of the cloak, which makes these things biomimetic as a charge. A charge makes these things biomimetic, where your body assumes it's native. And then when it is flickered just enough, and your body's pretty quick, it can tag it. But here's a problem. Here's the major problem is that no matter what you do, even when it's tagged, that's the good thing, it's tagged. So it'll always, that piece or portion will always be tagged for dismissal forever. Now, is your body, now these three ladies, they were really, really sick. So it seems like that didn't prevent them from pausing and gaining traction on this. But I've seen people, for some reason or another, who are extremely healthy. And they don't feel like they're getting anywhere. However, they say they don't feel like they're getting anywhere at all, but they're not getting worse. It only seems like it's just pausing, keeping it where they're at. It's like suspended animation, if you will. And so that's not encouraging, but they were trending before they started using it. They were trending a pattern of worsening effects, if you will, you know.
And that's true because it's not that the device is working. It's just that we're constantly being bombarded with this synthetic material, right? Like we're being sprayed with it. It's in our food. It's in probably everything at the supermarket that's in a bottle or a box.
Well, the two main places that really irritate us the most is obviously inhalation, just breathing in, you know, what we get dropped on us every day. And the second route is just stuff that accumulates on our skin, you know, like and this is the bad thing about talking about these things, because the wrong person may hear these things and then they may become obsessed with checking their skin, scrubbing their skin. And next thing you know, some people scrub their skin until there ain't nothing left, just about. But the unknowing and knowing that you're strong, again, the Most High created a being that is damn near hard to kill. And that's why the operation has to be 24/7. It has to be. To do whatever hat trick they have planned, whatever they believe that they think they're going to pull off, it has to be 24/7. And that's their operation. That's our adversary. Our adversary is at work our adversaries are at work every single day to pull off something that I don't think anybody in the world that's, you know, like you and I know. I mean, we can all speculate, postulate, especially because these psychopaths at all of these like TED Talks and or, you know, they're doing all these presentations with advanced technology. They're telling you that they're talking to interdimensional beings with indifference to us. They could care whether we're alive or dead. They just don't care. But that's what these tech guys are telling you, that their technology talks to interdimensional beings. So what does that mean? I don't know, but it's almost like these people who run this place are using these disgusting materials for something else. And I call it what I think might be a bad term or whatever. I call it hosting tech, and I also call it like this interdwelling spacesuit for something else, right? Because these things, possibly disembodied things, need a better environment. And I know that's like way out there, but all of this stuff is being done for a reason that we probably can't imagine. Like I think it escapes our imagination where this could be going. That's where I sit, and that's my opinion because of what I'm seeing and my colleagues are seeing. But back on the devices, not to segue too quick, but back to the devices, I haven't seen, as of yet, I haven't seen anybody come to me, get it, use it responsibly, and or people who build it themselves, who use it responsibly, and who either didn't have a good report or didn't have, or just come back, I'm just staying, I'm just stagnant, I'm just in that one spot. And the only thing I can guess is just that they're extremely sensitive to the daily bombardment. And some people just are.
So, Eric, I wanted to ask you now, just again, for people that don't know, what we're talking about here is known as nanobots, right?
Yeah, you can call it that, but the only there's one problem when we use the word nanobots or nanotechnology, especially when we're utilizing microscopes. And so the biggest pushback we get when we say that we're seeing nanotechnology, the equipment that we use is already telling somebody who's trying to be savvy that we can't see it because it's microscopic. We can't see nanotechnology with a microscope. So that's why I don't like using the word nanotechnology, because we are seeing things that are growing. We're seeing things that is it starting out in the micro scale where we can't see, then eventually deploy? I'm sure it is. I do know people who have extremely strong electron microscopes, and they're able to see down there to that scale. So it's there. There's things there, and there have been researchers who have found things that small with actuators and stuff like that, and that is actually hardware, not just so-called synthetic biology. Like, they have found hardware that small on the nanoscale in people.
And so however they start out, you're saying they end up growing or self-assembling. I've seen some videos where they're watching them come together inside. Once they're in our body, they kind of assemble. And some guy even said he had microscopic footage of them assembling into what looked like a mini tower. And right away I thought that, like, the Tower of Babel or something, like they're building. But this is back to the purpose behind it. I believe they want to turn us into, it's like the transhuman agenda, right? They want to turn us into controllable machines, right? And this stuff can get into your brain, right? Eventually cross the blood brain barrier, get into your brain, and then they can use that to potentially, and I think they're already doing it, control your mind. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like if you go, well, I hold two positions. I mean, I'm always up to hold a third or fourth one, but my two positions are one is, like you said, all the way back to Babel, because our whole world is based on the Babylonian system. At the end of the day, all roads lead back to Babylon. At the end of the day, not Rome, Babylon. Babylon is the original reprobate, and they love, and all the religions today, especially the world religions, they show you what they truly believe. They tell you what they truly believe, even though, you know, the men and women, the regular men and women, they have a religion, right? That they believe. They believe a certain theology. But the elites, the so-called elites within their religion, they believe something else, and they show you, right? But what they believe is that house of the morning sun or the morning star. That's what they're all about. That's their mythos or whatever. And but anyway, shoot, I don't even know where we're going with this.
The house of the rising sun.
Well, no, not the house of the rising sun. The house of the morning star. You know, it goes all the way back to what we get in Isaiah 14:12 is where we wrongfully get Lucifer, but we get, it should have just been morning son of the morning. Just that, because that's what the word Hallel means. Because Hallel is the word that they replaced with Lucifer, and Hallel is a word because it's a lowercase word in the root text. So we get the root text, we get Hallel, and the word Hallel by itself means son of the morning. And so how do we get to Lucifer? Well, we get to Lucifer because we have people who are Luciferian, and they just believe in that Babylonian system. So that's their trademark for their Babylonian system, to worship their Babylonian king, if you will, son of the morning. And but again, a lot of people will give me pushback on that. They've been doing it for years. I was like, okay, that's a little h. That is not a name. That is a word. When you look up the transliteration, that's all you got to do. Look up the transliteration, and if it was a capital H, I would say, okay, it's a name, but it's not a name. Mm-hmm. It just means son of the morning. And
interesting.
But so the transhumanism agenda, again, my two positions is, one, to go back to Babel, that you one speech, one mind, one voice kind of thing, where everybody is on the exact same mission at the exact same time.
The hive mentality.
The hive mind.
Yeah.
And that's one avenue that this could be going. The other avenue is that they're preparing for potentially a different kind of war that based on our church upbringing and the things that we were told in church, or things that we were told to ignore in church. You know, things that we were told, because we oftentimes get, this term that I use, and I think we may have talked about this in the pre-recording, is that whenever you talk to somebody of authority in a church, again, I used to be an authority in a church. I was an assistant youth director for Southern Baptist Christian Church many years ago. And whenever you ask questions, or you're just trying to have dialogue about certain things that you're finding, and the number one pushback, or the number one response, is with emotion. It's always with, I've never seen it not with emotion, from grown men who work in the church, who are elders, who are supposed to be men, right? So they respond with the emotion, and then they come back with what I call the conspiracy theorist equivalent for the church, which is, why are you worried about that? It's not a salvation issue. I was like, well, I'm just seeing this, and it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up, and why can't we talk about it? They don't want to hear anything about it. And so, now, where the heck was I going with this?
Well, we were talking about the reason why they're spraying us with this crap. And I was just saying, I believe it's to control our minds. Like we said, the hive mind.
Okay, the war.
Yeah.
So I said the hive mind, one speech, one voice. That's one position I hold, is the slave, so-called hive mind. And the other one is that our adversaries, the principalities of this world that haven't been dealt with yet, and that's the thing that people have to understand, is when the Most High scattered the nations, he scattered the nations in accordance to the sons of Elohim, or the B'nai Ha, the sons of Elohim, or the sons of God, depending on which way you look at it. If you look at the transliteration, it's the sons of Elohim. Just like the transliteration it reads the exact same way in the root, the source text, if you will. If you read the source text transliteration, Genesis 6 reads the B'nai Ha Elohim, and then over here, the same exact thing is talking about how he scattered the nations. He scattered the nations in accordance to the sons of God. Now, the B'nai Ha Elohim in the Deuteronomy 32. But our crafty writers have since changed it, that they were spread in accordance to the children of Israel. So he created 70 nations. He had 70 divine council members. And you can read about how badly they are doing the job that they were given in Psalms 82. In Psalms 82, you can see how bad they are treating their people, their kingdom. And I actually said not too long ago, I said, somebody please show me where the Most High has dealt with them. You can't find it. You can't find it. The only B'nai Aha Elohim that have descended to here, according to the apocryphal text, are the Watchers. Right? But he only put them, according to that text, he only put them away for, 70 generations. So they're back. So if we're looking at roughly between the 200 and the 70, we're looking at roughly 300 almost, because I'm pretty sure there are others who have rebelled as well. But they have an agenda, especially the 200. They want their sons back. They're here. They exist disembodied, always hungry, always thirsty, always seeking, never satisfied. And so that's my other position. I don't hold them, neither one of them, near and dear to my heart because they're both disgusting. But I'm just trying to rationalize what's going on. The sick and twisted stuff, I mean, that's what we got to do. We got to try to figure out the sick and twisted stuff that they could be doing with this. And for me, it's like, can it just be slave hive mind mentality? Could it be just that? Or is there another war coming that, again, like I said, that we are trained to absolutely ignore, right? We're trained to ignore it because it doesn't align with our worldview or current understandings. You know, it took me almost 30 years of wrestling with all this to come and be at peace. You know, again, I what other people believe, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change how I feel about you. But oftentimes what I believe changes what they feel about me. I've seen that the highest percentage of the time last 30 years. Saw it in the church, saw it in my family. I saw it in, I had several chat groups on Telegram. And it seems it always gets to a point with these different groups. They want to know what I believe, and I tell them. And guess what happens? Meltdown city. It's like everybody melts down. You asked me, I don't stand on your neck or your back to try to convince you what I believe, because that's not the way. That's not the way we should. I used to when I was a Southern Baptist Christian. I used to try to do what I call theological war with everybody I came across if you didn't believe what our church believed. Which ironically, I think I also told you before we started, I did a poll in my church. And we all believe something different. The authorities, like staff with the church, we all believe something different. Every last one of us. I think it was 24, 25 of us. And so that portion that these, especially the 200, the Watchers, if that story in the one we call Enoch, and, you know, we get passages here and there that are alluding to the Watchers on leaving their estates and intermingling with men or women. And, but I think that's what they did with Sodom and Gomorrah. The Watchers, another incursion happened and they intermingled with men. And that's why all the men there in Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to have relations with the angels that came with, was it Abraham? Did Abraham or just the angels go and visit Lot by themselves? I can't remember. I don't think Abraham was with them. The angels that just came and visit Lot by themselves. Like the men there wanted to have relations with them. So what does that mean? That means they knew what they were and they were already doing that. Right? So that these watchers by themselves, genetically, I believe, they're like these things that literally augment reality. Whether they're having relations with a woman, giants, or having a relationship with a man, mystical powers, potentially, who knows? Knowledge, right? Strength, don't know. We don't know much about Sodom and Gomorrah because we haven't really been given the full scoop, you know?
Are you saying that the other option, so one is to create a hive mind mentality where they can control everyone's mind, everyone's connected to a one mainframe computer or server, if you will, quantum computing system, whatever.
Yeah.
The other is, are you saying that this is the way of fallen angels getting this tech inside us to intermingle with us, to become part of us?
Well, more like a Grand Theft Auto type thing. Not to expel your soul, your spirit. There's only one being that can handle that can destroy the body and the spirit, the soul. One. Only one in our so-called documented biblical text. But what I think, and I hope this is not the case. Of course, you could come back with people who will just tell me, well, you know nothing about end times revelation or whatever. Again, this is all physical. I'm looking at the physical world where I personally see this blending or mingling or this melding of something else that's going on in the background.
Mixing of iron and clay.
Yeah, well, they can't really be explained because it almost looks like they're just creating a suit in somebody, and I call it a spacesuit. It's like a terraforming people whose body widely accepts or assimilates with these materials to be a house, a more suited house, potentially, to house one of these monsters. I know that sounds crazy. Again, that is just an opinion. I don't sit there and say, that's it. I don't do that. This is just a thought in my head.
Doesn't sound crazy to me, Eric. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, but I talk about this stuff. Yeah. Look, I believe it. I've seen enough in this world, enough crazy things that this is not even crazy to me what you're saying. Like, this is like, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Now, we could speculate all day long about why they're doing it and stuff, and I think that's important to at least touch on that. But what I want to get from you, if we have time, what are the symptoms? Just for people who want to know, do I have this stuff in me? What are the symptoms? How to identify it? And then I want to ask you, how do we get rid of it? Or I know we can't get rid of it because it's just constantly being dumped on us, but how do we mitigate the damage from it? So can you just start with, how do you identify it and what are the symptoms? Like, I know I have like rashes on my legs, on my shins, little red dots, and they're so itchy. This is like an itch that you can't scratch enough to get rid of this itch.
No. And
to the point where my legs bleed, and I immediately do detox baths and everything, and that it's just not going away. So talk about the symptoms and how to identify this nano stuff.
Right here, what we have right here is a potential to prove or disprove the triangle. Right now, you got one. You don't use it. Right? And just put it near your leg. 10 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day. Every day. Just put it near that leg that has that problem and see what happens. You don't even have to get in the bath with it. So that's one. So we can have a case study with you just to see. Again, you don't have to get in the bathtub with it. Can, but you don't have to. Actually, outside of the bathtub, it's a little bit more powerful. The magnetic, this disruptive magnetic pulse may be able to push along the ridding of some of this stuff, or help your body to identify to reject it even faster. One, so people who have these unexplained anomalous rashes, a good thing to get is something like, if you can't afford like crazy microscopes, like they make little things like this. This is just a little teeny tiny microscope, and almost everybody's got a cell phone. So you could put a little, these things come with attachments, and you can attach your cell phone, and you got a camera so you can record. Get somebody to help you to look into these wounds, record it, right? And anybody's welcome to send me that type of stuff, by my email. If I'm not flooded with clients, I'm just always flooded with people trying to show me things they see all the time, which is cool in a way, but at the same time, I was like, I don't want to see it anymore. I've seen enough. I don't need any more validation that this stuff is out there, because it is.
Right. I can only imagine how much you've seen.
Yeah. And of course, my really good friends and colleagues, this is what we do. This is what we're looking at. We're not just the skin, things that these outward expressions that people are dealing with. So anomalous outward expressions is one thing. And if you could see is, if you learn about what a very like micro, almost in Microsoft, but a micro capture with one of these of soft tissue injury, that you can see these things they're so small, but they're literally injuries. And sometimes these injuries have, at first glance, it could look like a hair, but it's not a hair. And how you know that is if you look long enough and you observe long enough with your, obviously don't get obsessive or obsess over these things. But if you got a wound that you can't satiate, check it out. Like, get something like this, get somebody to help you to look, record, see if you see all that stuff that Tony showed you at the beginning, hanging out of those wounds. And not all the time, but there's a high percentage of time, like a lot of that stuff that you see hanging out, that you saw on those images, or we saw, could be hanging out of those wounds, or very close, or portions or pieces of those threads and fibers hanging out. That's your body rejecting them things, which is a good and bad thing at the same time. It's a good thing because your body doesn't want to be assimilated. And it's a bad thing because it's just going to aggravate the tar out of you and cause suffering. And now, obviously, you might not be suffering, but other people do suffer from these spontaneous, abruptive wounds. So that's another thing to look for, is just these spontaneous, abruptive wounds. They just come out from nowhere. There's lots of people dealing with that. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know what it is, other than, obviously, they go to the doc. They go to the docking box. They go somewhere, and they get a cream, they get a prescription, they get something. And just sometimes just anomalous injuries. Like you're injured and you did nothing. Like you didn't fall, you didn't trip, you didn't reach wrong. Just these anomalous injuries, and it could be. It could be like, it feels like your shoulder's breaking, or feels like your foot's breaking, or your foot could you wake up one morning and your foot hits the floor, and the skin on the bottom of your foot feels like you're walking on glass. Like it feels like you're actually walking on glass. And I've had many a client say that, or it feels like their foot is breaking over and over. And they've had so many images done to their foot, and there's nothing there. There's no hairline fracture. It's nothing. They don't see anything. It's a perfect foot. No burrs, nothing. And that particular woman got a spike, and that's what keeps that glass-like, broke foot-like state down, just by stepping on those. It's basically pulsed voltage akin to a TENS unit, but not a TENS unit. And that's what I'm saying. The triangle never did anything for that. But she got the spike. Next thing you know, that went away. Other problems went away before the spike, but she just couldn't get that glass-like, whatever it was, or the breaking of the foot. That's what it really felt like to her. And stuff like that, like even grabbing a cup like this, just grabbing a cup and putting pressure on it, and it feels like your hand's breaking. That's another thing. And there are some days where I in the past I have picked up a cup and I'm like, don't have arthritis. Usually have a really good grip. I mean, I can actually deadlift a pretty significant amount, and out of blue. And then sometimes it's when you're doing deadlifts, you go out there and think you're going to work out that day, you grab that bar, and you feel like it feels like your hand's about to shatter into a million pieces.
I've had that actually, not from deadlifting, but just in general. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, what am I made out of? You know, like you said, glass all of a sudden, like.
Right.
What about oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hold on real quick. You're talking about glass. And so a lot of my colleagues who have advanced equipment, they have advanced diagnostic equipment. So they've been finding high degrees of silicon in sweat, in urine, and even in the mucosal, like phlegm, mucus, or whatever. I'm not sure of these folks are in Australia, New Zealand, and Sweden, and they do all this stuff themselves. And they're able to detect these things. And you're not going to be able to go to almost, I don't believe, anywhere in the United States to a clinic to get tests for silicone in your sweat or your blood. So again, that's an element of it, is like, that's what's, I think, could be making glass-like stuff. Because if you look at the tech world, that's a big element of the tech world by itself. Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah.
I call that for no reason. You know what I'm saying? And if you go just look up, just go and just type in, well, next time you're on Google, your listeners or whoever, and just type in, is silicone conductive? And it'll say it can be, but it's more of an insulator. Right. And so it has lots of tech components to it, or qualities. And they've been trending the silicone phenomenon for a while, and it's only getting worse. And again, the people who are actually doing real rain samples, not some, there's a lot of people putting up fake rain samples and fake snow samples, going to these labs that are not even labs. It's all, people are just trying to create content instead of just telling people the truth, or not necessarily the truth, but at least just tell them your opinion. Just tell them it's your opinion. Just don't create or fabricate all this nonsense that people are creating. I'd have more respect for you if you just tell, hey, it's my opinion, versus literally just trying to create fear porn to scare people half to death. Because what do they always have? They give you these fake numbers, these fake values, and then they have a solution for you that you can buy from them, right? And but where am I going? Let's pick up. What were you going to say?
So we were talking about the symptoms, how to recognize if you have like a problem with this stuff. and I wanted to ask you, this is separate from a parasitic infection, correct? Are the two connected at all, or is it?
I think they're very much connected. I think what the overall, again, we saw what you showed us that were bugs, and your folks said that they don't think that they can't identify a bug. People who do pest control can't identify a bug in their own region. So think about that. That's mind-blowing. A company that does pest control that can't identify a pest. Right? And so I believe more than ever, due to the hijacking of our own biology, the hijacking of Fibergen. I just put out a video not too long ago talking about how our Fibergen is being recruited to what looks like, it ends up looking like mycelium-like threads, which is fungus. But it's not all fungus.
So I'm just sharing my screen again because I want people to see what we're talking about when we're talking about Morgellons, right? Or Morgellons, I'm not even sure how you say it. And what I'm seeing, Eric, is looks like a lot of the stuff that I showed you pictures of, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that's just one facet of this.
Yeah.
One of many. Like, go to my YouTube channel.
I'm sorry. I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel. I thought you were too, it was too cutting edge to be on YouTube.
I haven't been on there very long. Just type in ERIC. I guess, is it a hyphen or dash? Then FM8. Yeah, you're not going to get results. You're just going to have to do that. And maybe after that, there you go. Right there. Boom.
Right here.
No, right there. My channel's a little bit the next one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So right there you see Fiber Network. Hey man, go ahead and sign up, bro. And and so Fiber Network, in that I'm showing you the mycelium-like fibers that are created, basically recruiting.
Oh, right here. This one right here.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys, with this particular video,
so this right here, I think this is silicon-like glass. And this is not mine. This is my local client that just recently came up, wanted a blood sample check, and they were going to go see a so-called naturopath. And I don't know what their blood looked like before they saw that naturopath. But
this was in their blood?
Yeah, all those sheets. This is in the drying phase. So in the drying phase, what we're looking at, what we start to see is when the natural blood dies off and disintegrates, you can see the remainings, which is usually trash. It's usually trash. So there's you don't see much discernible blood there, right?
Oh my goodness.
But you see all kinds of sheets and you see little areas of threads, and you'll get to a portion where you'll see lots of threads on hers. Yeah, you see, if you slow it down, like back it up a little bit, back it up a little bit.
Oh,
right there. Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, put it on slow line. Yeah, see all those lines?
Yep, those are fibers.
Those are like fibers. Those are like mycelium-like fibers that the synthetic biology uses. It recruits your Fibergen that could be left in that blood and utilizes it. I think what I see sometimes is I think that this fungus-like material is literally, since it's outside the host and it's trying to survive, it's consuming everything it can get its hands on. Again, this is me looking at this stuff for over 5 years. And I think it's about to get worse here for her. So these are discernible blood. They're like, lightly, you see that?
Yeah.
That's a big web right there.
And what symptoms was she exhibiting? And I see how they're connected.
None.
With the five. No symptoms, no physical symptoms.
I had a colleague who just recently showed me out from Sweden. A friend of hers, she said a trusted microscopist had a client walk in, not sick at all. Didn't take any injections in the last 5 years, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And their blood literally exploded shortly after. Oh, I could show you. I could actually show you if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Hold on.
I can pull it up on my Telegram.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to just share your screen so you can go through. That's just wow. That's incredible. I don't know why this isn't letting me. Okay. Well, I'm going to subscribe to you first of all.
I appreciate that.
I didn't know you. I thought he's too dangerous for YouTube. I'm surprised they're letting your channel.
What I think has happened is that like from the Avengers movie, one of Thanos's quotes, "The work is done," and it always will be.
Yeah. And they are letting people say more on YouTube.
All right. So can I share?
Yeah, you should have permission.
All right. So this is from Sweden. Okay. So this is a fresh blood sample. Again, this isn't my friend's. It isn't my colleague. She does and her name is Sam on Substack. Darkfield Enigma is her channel on Substack. She does some of the best microscopy I've ever seen for somebody who doesn't have, electron microscope. But she does some of the best. So this is a fresh drop now.
That's fresh blood.
Fresh blood live. What you're seeing is live. That's not supposed to happen. What you see right now.
What is it doing?
Exploding on itself.
And are those lights? Are those normal? Is that?
No, it's the different type of light or filter that they're using.
Oh, okay, all right, that's a reflection.
To add a more element of contrast to be able to be.
I see.
Really brilliant. So yeah, the blood literally just imploded.
Wow. Okay, so symptoms would be rashes. Sometimes I get all of a sudden I'll feel like a electrical jolt, and I'll go I'll cry out. I'll go like, ow! Feels like someone just poked me with a pin.
Right?
Is that?
Well, what we have there is like these materials, especially the Morgellons. Clifford Carnicom, Carnicom Institute. I think he only publishes on Substack. I think he does have a website. If you don't want to go to Substack, he does have a website. But he has captured the frequency at which these things modulate, or whatever the Morgellons themselves, or how they resonate, or whatever. That he knows that they are piezoelectric in nature. And so, at the end of the day, they are literally pulling electricity from your ambient background, like your environment, pulling electricity into you, but not for you. So these things are like, no electricity is enough. So they take from you and they take from your environment. Because that's what they need.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
So they're making you like conductive, right? They're more conductive than we already are, and almost like electrical parasites.
Yeah.
Sorry, Max's.
Yeah. So when they break through your skin, that makes them a little bit more excitable to the electrical world.
Come here, Max.
That they'll be conversing, or we transversing, or whatever.
And now I went to the eye doctor once, and I said I have really, my floaters have gotten a lot worse over the last couple of years. I straight out asked him, I said, are those parasites? Because like when if you look real quick to one side, you can kind of see the black things, like it looks like little tiny worms. And he goes, oh, no, that's just tissue. Is that true? Or is that the nanotech?
I don't know, because I have, in the last 3 months, I was always on the fence about what a so-called floater is. Well, actually, more than that. I actually did a video about a client I had who had I have to go back and find it. I can send it to you. But she had I think it was a perforated floater that she sees that looked like a perforated wire. It looked metallic in nature, like steel. And she was a military wife, and she went to some of the best, and her husband was a doctor, and she went to some of the best people around, and nobody could see anything in her eye, but she could see a perforated metallic shiny wire across her eye all day, every day. All day, every day. And it still, as far as I know, it still hasn't changed to this day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, all right. So rashes, unexplained rashes or sores or like wounds, like lesions almost that won't heal.
They won't heal.
What about itchy scalp? Like even if you use the best, shampoos, organic shampoos, but your scalp's itchy, do they tend to want to be ejected through the scalp?
Well, I think a lot what we're seeing on, especially in women, this is a lot of my women client, they have like a yeast-like infection right through here and right here and through there that seems to be eating away their beautiful hair. Again, these are my clients. These are the people I see and talk to. And unfortunately, most people today don't talk to other people like that. They don't have people coming to them to talk about afflictions. And so most of my clients are moms who are busy. And literally, like one of the first things they tell me is, Eric, I don't have time for this shit. I was like, well, nobody does. But we have to deal with it, because if we don't at least attempt to deal with it, we're going to be in problems. But and sometimes there's one shampoo called Taggart, and it has 2 antifungals in it. And I've been testing. I just started recently testing that out, and this particular lady came to me because my wife had it. I mean, I've been snowballing this stuff with my wife for a long time, but we tried all the same thing you're trying with your cat, all these natural so-called antifungal things, and we got this one shampoo. She rubbed it on her face, and next thing you know, she got better, and it worked for a client too. And so that's recent. But some of these other folks, man, they had to be on an extreme amount of SSKI to knock down whatever the heck was going on. And again, like pure SSKI is addressing some of the the real parts of this fungus infection. Even though I still think most of it is like the parasites are biomimetic, synthetic, biological things that are recruiting materials from your body. But I think no matter what, the base unit or the fundamental foundation to a lot of this infestation, I believe, is fungus in general. Because of the way fungus operates in nature, if you learn about how fungus operates in nature, that is how that part of this engineered chaos is operating the same way. Mm-hmm. And so what you're doing when you take something like extreme amount of SSKI, and there are people that I couldn't do it. But there are people who are taking extreme amounts of SSKI every day, and at first they feel like they're falling apart. And when I started it, I started coughing up. And my next post that I'm going to do, where I'm talking about this type of stuff, is I'm going to show you my mucus, my phlegm. It comes out of me like it looks like little fingernails. Ever since I've been taking SSKI, I've been coughing up, and that's why you've been hearing me cough multiple times. Is that this SSKI is trying to clear my lungs because it's in fight. Not only is it a so-called antibiotic, it's an expectorant. So you're coughing out all kinds of craziness coming out of your lungs. And so it's because it's an expectorant, and like I've seen stuff that come out of my lungs when I cough that is as hard as a fingernail or a thumbnail. It's weird. And then I actually put some DMSO on one of the pieces that came out the other day that I coughed right in my hand, and there's nothing but tons of fibers on them, And you have the stuff on your website. Is there a place people can, this SSKI, is that something that you sell, or can you? I don't sell. I only build and sell two things, and that's the spike and the triangle.
Okay.
And everything else I sell is just information. Like if you.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like they have a link where. Yeah.
If you come to me, I give a consult.
Okay.
And so.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, everybody probably needs this. Now let's talk about remedies. I remember a long time ago, the first thing you told me was get away from 5G. Or you said, are there smart meters? I lived in a condominium complex. My building had 7 units. So there was probably a minimum of 7 smart meters right on the side of the building.
I remember that now. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing too, that the kilohertz signal that meter itself. So what are most people today concerned about? The smart meter. Are they concerned about the wiring in the house, or are they concerned about what's being transmitted off that meter? Which one do you think it is?
I think the smart meter.
Like the meter itself.
The meter itself, yeah.
Right. And that could be further from the truth. That's not the problem. It's the signal. It's this nasty signal that they put across your wiring. It's a kilohertz signal. It goes across your wiring, and that noise, that electromagnetic interference, is sending information all over your house. That's how they know what light switch you turn on. That's how they know what portion of your house is consuming.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well look at that meter as like a biofeedback machine for your house. They're constantly pushing and pulling electronic information that is mapping your house, mapping you walking in your house, right? And potentially because of interoperability, and that's a whole other thing that people need to look up. They need to look up the interoperability timeline and understand what that means, where everything talks. Not for our well-being, and not for us to be able to utilize the everything that can talk problem or situation, but the interoperability timeline has got us to a point in time where, again, I used to be on the most advanced, or one of the most advanced interoperability communication teams. So back then, I used to have 2 physical radios, 2 unlike radios. Like if we're helping out some city, rural city, and their comms go down, we are helping them. And let's just say they have UHF or VHF, and we go in there with our 800 radios, right? So everybody in the department already has radios, and so what we can do, but they don't have comms. maybe their repeaters are gone down. Maybe they're so small. Maybe their one communication antenna goes down, so none of the repeaters work because their massive antenna's gone down or whatever. Something happened. So we go in there and we can make things talk. So we create a system for them to utilize, but we need their radio. We need a physical radio to help the jurisdictions who are coming in to help them during their whatever, their emergency. And so, but that was done in the physical sense. And now we got this interoperability system operating seamlessly in the background. Basically, what I would say, just our adversaries are just literally creating one system. It's almost the same as what they're trying to do is create one so-called religion, or they're putting everything into oneness because that's what they're all about. You know, that oneness stuff that they got going on, and especially the world religions, and it's going the same way for technology too. Is they're making everything converge in one direction, right? And that's what they've been doing since, like, at least out in the open since 2013. The FCC comes out. They got a video on their website. Like, you can go, well, not on their website, on their YouTube. You can go to the FCC's YouTube page, go there, go into the search box, and type in W-band. So you're looking at the wireless body area network. That's in there. They're talking about it, about biosensors and all this stuff, and basically nobody having wires anymore. Like, no wires when they go to the hospital. You don't need wires anymore. How do you not need wires anymore? Right? How? People are infested with biosensors. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But so they're just, and I said on I did the interview last night, and I told him, I said, and let's just say you go home with a cardiac event, and maybe they just need to monitor you for acute atrial fibrillation or something like that, or something that other arrhythmia that may be non-lethal. 9 times out of 10, somebody gets sent home with a Holter monitor with some stickers on you. So you got like this little, box hanging from your chest, and you got to take it somewhere for somebody to put in a car to download it. Days is over, brother. Them days is over. I'm here to tell you that the vast majority of Americans would go home, and in a month their doctor will call them and tell them, we got the results of watching your heart for 30 months. And they go home with no devices, no tech, nothing. And for some reason or another, they have an answer. They have, during this month, your heart went into rapid atrial fibrillation, or just went into atrial fibrillation this many times, and you had this many PVCs, or this many PACs, or this many PJCs. And then the client or the patient is going to come back and say, okay, what's the next step? Not even going to ask how they ascertain this information.
Wow.
Especially our older, and not putting nothing against our older class, but you got some lady who's, 80 years old, 70 years old, and these folks have lots of faith in their doctors. And how do you know? Because I'm pretty sure in your lifetime you've heard somebody tell you how good their doctor is. Right? He's a great man. He's a good man. I'm here to tell you that he may very well be a good man, but he don't even know what he's doing either. Not when it comes to these technologies. He don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
He's not implementing it. He's still running his practice the best way he knows how, with all the enemy-based policies that always everybody has to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Parasites are a huge problem, and they're not even addressing that. Never mind this stuff, right? And just so people know, what I've heard, if you start talking to a doctor about like Morgellons, or like I have nanotech inside of me, they're going to like call you crazy and try to lock you up. I
can confirm that. The 10 years I worked in the ER, I saw Morgellons before I started witnessing the people that we put in the behavioral units. And in the ER, we had one room that could be locked with a big heavy door and a big sheet of heavy glass, almost bulletproof glass. One room. And so oftentimes they would put, when they came in, they didn't come in a whole lot, but they came in enough, and it seemed to always happen on my shift for some reason, whenever my shift was. And but I saw Morgellons first when I was doing wound care. I was lancing abscess to drain it. Now, young, maybe a 12-year-old African American, young black male, and that's when I started seeing it all the time. I started noticing once I got cut loose, because I wasn't always cut loose to do wound care in the ER, because as a functional medic in there, they were starting to train me up to do things that the doctors could do. And one of them is lancing, draining, cleaning, and packing wounds and stapling. If there needed to be stitches, the doctor would come in there, or PA would come in there and stitch them up. But I could do staples. It all depended on what they wanted. But that's when I started seeing it, and then I started noticing people were coming there complaining about it coming out of their arms. Again, they had these boxes full of these threads, right? And so you see what's in the box. Then you see what's sticking out of their skin. It's the same. Do you think somehow they have some special powers that they're able to embed threads deeply into their skin? Do you think they can do that? And then that's when I noticed that the doctors just have to ignore it. I never was able to get the full story. If they're told to ignore it, I don't know. I don't know if there's closed door meetings. I don't know. But I do know this, that I can observe with 100% certainty that they are actively ignoring it, and they will quickly, if you come in there too many times in a row, I think they give you 3 strikes. You come in there 3 strikes talking about this stuff, and they will call behavioral health on you. And if you don't answer those questions right, you will go into the hospital unit for a number of days for evaluation. And if you come back again, you might go into a bigger unit for a longer period of time. So
yeah. So be careful who you talk to about this stuff. Your doctor can't help you anyway, so it's almost futile, right, to bring it up to your doctor in the first place. What's your doctor going to do? Either think you're crazy and try to lock you up, institutionalize you, or just ignore it and say, no, I don't know what that is, but it's not synthetic, whatever. So Wi-Fi fuels it, right?
Electricity. Don't just get caught up in 5G does this, Bluetooth does that, Wi-Fi does that. All of these things are informational waves. These are waveforms, radio frequencies. And these non-native radio frequencies all carry information. They all carry electricity. And they all are coupled together by magnetics. That's basically the three ingredients to a frequency, or a waveform that's radio frequency in nature. So there's 3 elements to RF. It's voltage, electricity, magnetics. Magnetics is what couples the information to the electricity, the waveform that is being projected wherever it may go.
So shutting your router off at night will help. I mean, right? If not, you can't. No one can live without internet altogether. But at least when you sleep,
you can hardwire it. If your provider, if you have a provider that allows you to enter into the interface,
yeah,
and you're able to turn off. Here's the thing: if you're able to turn off, if you need wireless, if you're able to turn off one antenna, turn off the 2.4. You have two antenna, you have two modulations, or two antenna types in every router. It's 2.4 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz. So I would turn off the 2.4 gigahertz if you still want to run traditional wireless. But there again, if you're able to, because you have to remember, if you're running wireless technologies, you're not only you're getting hit right there at your computer screen by your computer.
Yeah,
because it's also modulating or squawking out for the signal. So it's always going to be this reciprocator like back and forth between the device and the Wi-Fi router. So hardwiring it is the absolute way to go, because it brings the magnetics down in your house. It also doesn't allow for the interaction of those magnetics and magnetic coupling from your router, your computer, and then the wires in your wall.
Right.
So you're not just bringing the wireless to your computer. You're bringing the power in the wall. And you're also bringing, if you have a smart meter, you're bringing the kilohertz frequency to you too. Because all the stuff, because you're dealing with a whole lot of EMI, which is electromagnetic interference. So all this interference is just creating this really nasty environment for telecommunications. And that's why fungus and mold, or so-called fungus and mold, proliferate at a rapid rate in today's age because of this.
Okay, and is it true that borax, I've been ingesting borax, never mind, I'm going to cut this out because I got my channel taken down for saying that. Antifungals work on the synthetic fibers?
Sometimes. Yeah, nothing works on the fibers themselves. Like you can destroy them. True blue ones, like true engineered polymer base, which is even weird because most polymers should burn. But a lot of this technology that people are finding don't burn. But there are some types of antifungals that help your body successfully deal with the problem. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're looking at is crutches.
All right, my cat as you wanted to interrupt. So, all right. So we've got like detox baths, your triangle in the bath, or even just holding it near, is going to help to disengage or deactivate. Is that what they do?
I don't say, because they never stop. They never stop behaving, even when they're tagged by biology. They never stop. I had the friend my research friend who developed these things. That was his pitch. That was his thought process. I have never seen this stop. None of it. I've never seen nothing cause these things to stop proliferating and growing. The device itself helps your body tag it. If it's tagged by biology as foreign, that's how you get rid of it. You're not disengaging anything because there's no operating system. There's no program there. It's just, again, the only program in it is the nature part. That's the program.
Yeah.
Like it's the mycelium, like that by itself is some of the smartest stuff on earth. That's why they use it.
Okay, now I also I just want to share my screen. This is something else that I've tried for the skin stuff, and it's called the debriding soap. It's a concentrated natural soap designed to cleanse the skin, remove dirt, bacteria, and odors, and assist in managing microscopic skin pests.
I've heard of it, but never used it. Or never.
So this is what it looks like. The company is theorganicskincare.com. And now they can't make these claims, but it is. So look at it. So for pets too, it's great. It eliminates dirt, germs, bacteria, odors, and pests, including lice, scabies, crabs, fleas, mites, and more. So if your pet is exhibiting like some of the symptoms that my cat had, and they tell you how to do it. You basically mix it with distilled water in a little spray bottle. It comes with the product, and you do like seven drops of this in the spray bottle with the distilled water. Spray it on your pet, brush them down, whatever. You can also pour 2 capfuls in a bathtub, and I've been having good luck with this stuff. Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to mention is...
Does it go a long way? Does it go a long way for $135? I hope it goes a long way.
I've never bought... this is a 4.5 ounce... okay, this is the 9-ounce bottle. I've never bought in the 9-ounce bottle. I usually get the 4.5 ounce. This is the concentrated version, though. Actually, they have a different version. I'm sorry, this isn't.
No, it's good. It's good. Did you buy the concentrated version?
No, I did actually. I did.
How long did it last you?
I didn't use it that much. I still have it, but I buy the non-concentrated version. Let's see if they have it here. But this is the pen little spray bottle that comes with it.
Uh-huh.
You fill that with distilled water, and then you do 7 drops of the non-concentrated. Here it is. This is a 50% concentrate.
Okay.
All right, $38. And again, it breaks down grease, biofilm, and other organic matter. So that's one thing. If people who have these skin issues, again, though, I think what you're saying, Eric, that's the most important thing, is having your body tag this stuff, right? So it can recognize that it's a foreign invader inside your body. The other thing that I want to show is right here. So the company I work for, we actually sell this to air purifier. It's called the Aspen. I'm not selling it because if you're in Texas, we're not going to drive and bring it to your house anyway. But you can find this online. Make sure it's authentic. Now, this air purifier claims to be the only air purifier that removes nanoparticles down to I want to say 0.1 PMs. Okay, so that's no other air purifier. Most of them do like the PM 2.5s. This one claims to do the 0.1 microns. Okay, which is like, I don't know, 1,000 times smaller than this, like a piece of hair or something. Now, I have had coworkers that have I bought one for my mother for mold, but I had coworkers that took the filters out after like 6 months and said they were black. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get into it with them like, well, they're spraying us with, graphene oxide. But mm-hmm. He was like, I don't understand what all this black stuff is. And then I started noticing that even in my hair dryer, my dryer, my clothes dryer machine, the lint is all black now. Have you noticed that?
Well, yeah, I noticed it doesn't take much for, like you used to. I remember that you may had to clean out the lint, pull the lint out, maybe the lint tray maybe once a week. Now you got to do it almost every wash, like every dry. Like every time you dry, you got to clean it.
Yeah.
Because it's loaded.
And that's just because of the chemtrails, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the whatever the engineering boys are doing above our head is a big part of our environmental problems that we're seeing.
And Eric, I want to ask you, I'm going to try and just like do like a rapid fire of questions. Your take on the Rife machine, because I have friends that are thinking about purchasing one. They're suffering with all these like chronic health conditions. And what are your thoughts on the Rife machine? Is that
If they could find what is considered a classic one, I've had clients who bought these new ones that are not necessarily classical Rife machines. They I said, make sure that you have a live blood microscopist nearby and get a baseline. Get a baseline of what your blood is looking like. And if you can, get them to seal, after they look at your live blood, see if they can seal up that, like hermetically seal, whatever. Get that cover slip sealed down, airtight, whatever, and then go back to them 7, 8, 9, 10 days later and let them look at your blood again. So we want to see if we see any type of morphology in your blood before and see what we see, as far as potential baseline, foundational, synthetic biology that we can see, 7 days later, right? Then do your Rife. I mean, if you have one that you can borrow or maybe they'll send it to you for a short period of time, demo it or whatever, and then check your blood again. I have seen people who've done that with I guess you would say is the more classical machine. They've had success, but I've seen people who buy the newer technologies that they're claiming is the latest and the greatest and all this. They have seen nothing but morphologies. So that is just my small sample size, if you will. And I do have a few colleagues who have kind of led their clients in the same direction to check, test, and they've kind of seen the same thing. So 2 or 3 different sides of the earth testing the same thing, see the same thing. So that's all I need is 3 witnesses. I only need 2, but 3 is golden.
right? So do your research. If you are going to use a Rife machine, make sure it's like an authentic based on the original, technology. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about? Any final words, thoughts, where people can find you, all that stuff?
Well, just again, Eric hyphen or slash FM8 on YouTube is the best place to go. Once you go there, if you want to see all my old work, you could go to the more section on YouTube and you could see my BitChute. My BitChute is my oldest channel. And then when you go onto my BitChute, you can go to the about section and I have my BitChute organized. So you can see some microscopy work. You can see, click more section. Yep. And then you go right straight to my BitChute. Yep. Click about all the way at the bottom to the right.
Oh,
Yeah. Scroll down a little bit.
oh, right here. Okay.
Yep. And then scroll a little bit more. These are playlists that I have. I have where I'm talking about synthetic biology, mostly talking about the devices. So if you want to learn more about the devices, that's the best place to go because that's mainly what I'm talking about is synthetic biology and mitigation. On Magnified, that is just all of my microscope work. All things RF is back when I was just showing you the type of sounds and microwatt energy output coming off of certain things, certain technologies. And my early synthetic work is just showing you mostly fibers and certain things that I've subjected them to. And I think with a lot of these, I'm not talking. I'm just showing you this nonsense, set the music. There may be a few of them that I started talking on, but, you know, it took me a while to be comfortable about talking about it.
That's how I started too. I would just put a bunch of memes together and play music, and that was the video. Just
I've seen a lot of your stuff.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So Eric, and you, I noticed you have your email here. Is that the correct email, or would it be?
No, that's my email.
That's it right here. So is it okay if people email you to ask you questions? Like, I don't want to send a million people,
Well, people, I mean, that already happened. So, you know.
Okay.
If people feel like that I'm the right one for them, you know, if they feel like that I can help. Again, this is all I do. Okay, just so you know, this is all I do. I was terminated in 2022 from the fire department for talking about informed consent, and among many other things. And I didn't start making money online until maybe a year later, where I almost ran out of all of my savings. And so I get paid for this. People pay me to talk to me. So I do have short sessions where I only charge $50 for 30 minutes, and an hour's $100, and the hour and a half and maybe a little over is 150. 150 is the max I charge. And so I do charge for consultations. And again, this is all I do. This is what I do to keep the lights on. So don't need me for working.
Well, you're doing good work. Important. That's why I wanted you to come on my channel, because I know what I went through, and that was hell. And there was no like online resource other than you. There was nowhere. I couldn't find any information on what was happening.
Talk about what you're going through, right?
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you're, in a sense, batshit crazy.
Right.
Because that's what happens when people don't have anybody to talk to. Right? Because you're going through something dramatic. You're going through something that is also traumatic. And those are times that some people could just fall apart and give up.
Yeah.
And start drinking all the time because they just don't want to feel nothing, you know?
Yep.
But sometimes just calling somebody who has a level head, and can I go ahead and tell you, you're not crazy. You're not seeing things. And I could take you to my channel or some of my channels. I could take you to some of all my gosh dang memory cards. I have a ton of stuff that I could show you that you're not crazy, because I see it too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then that's the main thing is for somebody with a level head who's not emotional, who is showing you the same thing that you're seeing in your house.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it like gives you a warm and fuzzy, but at least you know that you're not the only one. Then I could tell you roughly how many clients. I have a lot of the clients, and they're seeing it too. So
yeah, validation is important when you're suffering like that. And it was for me to talk to you was a huge help, because I just finally felt like, he's like, I think at that point the second time I called you, you had said that you had 2 other clients who had the same thing, and you said they had to leave their house.
Well, yeah, one of them burned their furniture and their clothes. Yeah, they lived on a big farm, and so they took all their stuff out in the middle of their yard and literally burned it all.
Wow.
All of it. Yeah.
Wow. So, well, Eric, again, thank you for coming on and talking about this. It's such an important subject. It's part of our reality, whatever you believe. I know that God in the end has our back, but we still have to deal with this stuff while we're here. So I think it's important that we at least try to minimize the earthly, I don't know, kind of consequences or symptoms while we're fighting the spiritual battle. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always going to be a physical element to what we're dealing with. Always.
Yeah.
All these realms exist together.
Absolutely. All right, Eric, again, thank you. And we'll definitely stay in touch. And to the people watching this, ask Eric questions. You can leave comments on this video. You have his email. It's FireMedic8@proton.me. And thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and good night.
What do the locusts described in chapter 9 of the book of Revelation represent? Those creatures whose appearance is similar to horses prepared for war, who wear on their heads something like golden crowns, whose faces are like human faces, who have hair like women's and teeth like lions' teeth, who wear breastplates like iron, whose beating of wings sounds like the roar of many chariots drawn into battle, and which have tails like scorpions, with stings capable of tormenting men for 5 months.